So this is the second part unit conversion videos. If you haven't watched the first one, you probably want to watch that because that sort of lays out some of the principles. But now we're going to look at a couple more complicated problems. And the first one we're going to look at is a volume conversion. And in this case, the particular things that I want to work with are liters and gallons. Now you can probably look up some conversion factors, but I happen to have one that related it back to cubic meters. And 28.33 liters is equal to 7.477 gallons. So if you have a conversion factor where neither side is 1, but you've got numbers on both sides of that, we can still work with that. So let's say I have an example where I've got 3.25 liters, and I want to convert that into gallons. So we do the same sort of process where I look at, okay, what do I have here on top is liters. So I have to put that conversion factor, the liters one, on the bottom, and then put the one I'm trying to go into, which in this case is the gallons, up on the top. The same thing happens here in terms of my units crossing out, but now I have to be more careful with my numbers because I'm multiplying and dividing by numbers and none of those are 1. So over here in my calculator app, which still shows some of my calculations from the first video, I've got 3.25 liters times 7.477 gallons, divided it by 28.33, and that tells me that my final answer here is 0.8578 gallons. Summarizing, 3.25 liters is equivalent to 0.8578 gallons. So that's what you do if you've got factors where neither one of them is a 1, so you have to both multiply and divide in order to get your conversion factors. The next one that I want to go over as an example is what I'm going to call a double unit conversion. Now, that's not necessarily a standard title. And in physics, one of the common things where we're going to end up having this sort of situation is when I'm going to start off with something like a speed. Let's say 30 miles per hour. And I want to put that into the standard physics units of meters per second. I'm going to have to convert miles to meters and hours to seconds. So I need 2 different conversion factors in order for this to work. And looking it up, we have that 1 mile equals 1,609 meters. And 1 hour is equal to 3,600 seconds. And that's because there's 60 minutes in an hour and 60 seconds in each minute. So that works out to be 3,600 seconds in an hour. Now you can do this as 2 separate conversion problems, or if we set things up with our fractions here, what we can do is first work on the miles part of this. And since miles is on the top, the 1 mile has to go on the bottom. And then work on the hours part, where since hours is on the bottom, the hour has to go on the top. In the end, the miles cancel with the miles, the hours cancel with the hours, and I'm left with meters per second. Now over here in my calculator, the way I'd actually put this in is 30 times 1,609. and technically divided by 1, even though the divided by 1 doesn't really make a difference, times 1 divided by 3,600. And when I do that, I get a final answer of 13.4 meters per second. So I've gone from miles per hour into meters per second by doing more than one conversion all in the same fraction, looking at what's on top and what's on bottom to figure out where to place my conversion factors to get it into the final units I want. You might need to do a little bit more practicing to get comfortable with this, but there's some examples for you guys to work with.